The rain had been falling since morning, soft at first, then heavier, as if the sky itself was tired of holding back its tears. I didn't know then that the rain outside would mirror the storm inside my home, and inside my heart. My name is Daniel. That day I stood near the window pretending to scroll on my phone, pretending not to hear the quiet sobs coming from behind me. My mother was standing near the door, her small cloth bag in her trembling hands. Her eyes were red, not from anger, but from something far worse, helplessness. She had come to my house with hope, she left with tears, and I let her go. My mother, Evelyn, was not an educated woman. She never spoke fancy words or wore expensive clothes, but she carried a strength that could shame kings. After my father died when I was only 9, life became cruel overnight. Bills piled up, relatives disappeared, friends stopped visiting, but my mother stayed. She worked as a cleaner in 3 houses during the day and stitched clothes at night. Many evenings, she would pretend she had eaten so that I could have a little more food. I still remember her words, "As long as you breathe, my son, I will fight the world for you." And she did. She raised me alone. She never remarried. She never complained. She made me who I am. Years passed. I studied hard. I got a job. Slowly, success knocked on my door. Promotions came. Respect followed. And eventually, so did marriage. My wife Laura was modern, confident, and outspoken. She came from a well-off family. At first, she respected my mother, or at least pretended to. But after marriage, things changed. She didn't like how my mother spoke. She didn't like her old clothes. She didn't like her village mentality. And slowly, she didn't like her presence. I moved my mother into a small room at the back of our house. I told myself it was temporary, but days turned into months. I got busy. Laura complained. Work consumed me, and my mother. My mother stayed quiet. She stopped asking for things. She stopped sharing her pain. She stopped smiling. Sometimes I would catch her looking at me as if she wanted to say something, but she never did, and I never asked that morning. Laura was already angry. "She needs to leave," she said coldly, stirring her coffee. "I can't live like this anymore." I laughed nervously. "She's my mother." Laura slammed the cup down. "This is my house too. I didn't marry you to become a caretaker for an old woman." Her words hit me like stones. I wanted to argue. I wanted to defend my mother, but I did in single quotes too instead. I stayed silent. My mother stood quietly, listening to everything. She didn't cry loudly. She didn't shout. She simply walked into the room, her eyes lowered. "I'll go," she said softly. "I don't want to be a burden." I looked at her. I saw the woman who had once walked miles just to buy my school books. The woman who had sold her wedding ring to pay my exam fees. The woman who had never chosen herself, only me. And still, I said nothing. She picked up her bag. It was light to light for a life so heavy. She stood at the door and turned back one last time. "Take care of yourself, my son," she said, forcing a smile. "May God protect you." Her eyes met mine. They were full of love. And goodbye. She stepped out into the rain, and the door closed behind her for hours. I sat there. Laura was satisfied. The house was quiet. Too quiet. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing my mother's voice. I kept seeing her wet clothes, her shaking hands. The next morning, I decided to call her. Her phone was switched off. I told myself, she's just upset. She'll come back. Days passed. Then weeks. No calls. No messages. No sign. I went to her old workplace. I visited relatives. I checked shelters. No one had seen her. That's when fear finally crushed my pride. That's when I realized she hadn't left my house. I had lost my mother, and that loss would change my life forever. The rain had soaked her clothes, but it couldn't wash away the pain in her heart. My mother walked slowly, each step heavier than the last. The bag in her hand held a few clothes, but the weight she carried inside was unbearable. She didn't know where she was going. She only knew one thing. She could not go back. Not after hearing those words. Not after seeing my silence. That night my mother sat on a bench at the old bus station. People passed by. Cars honked. Life moved on, but for her, time had stopped. She hugged her bag tightly, trying to protect what little dignity she had left. The cold wind cut through her wet clothes, but she didn't complain. She had endured worse. She whispered softly, "It's okay, Evelyn. You raised him. That's enough." Tears rolled down her face, mixing with the rain. Every sound reminded her of me. A child laughing made her remember my first steps. A boy holding his mother's hand reminded her of my school days. Even the smell of food from a nearby stall made her heart ache. She hadn't eaten since morning still. She gave the last few coins in her pocket to a homeless child sitting nearby, because that was who she was, a mother. Even when she had no one left to mother. Near midnight, an old woman approached her. "You shouldn't be outside in this weather," she said gently. My mother hesitated, then followed her to a small shelter run by a church. The place was simple: old walls, thin mattresses, and silent prayers echoing in the air. That night, my mother slept among strangers, but her dreams were filled with me back home. Something was wrong. The house felt empty. Even though Laura was there, I opened the cupboard and saw my mother's corner, her folded shawl, her old sandals. They looked abandoned. Like her, guilt wrapped around my chest. I dialed her number again, switched off. I told Laura I was going to look for her. She rolled her eyes. She'll come back, don't be dramatic. But I was already putting on my jacket. I went to her old friend's house. She hasn't been here, they said. I checked the park, where she used to sit in the evenings, nothing. Went to the temple she loved, no sign. With every closed door, my heart sank deeper. That night, I couldn't breathe. For the first time in my life, I understood something terrible. I had not chosen my wife. I had chosen my comfort, and in doing so, I had betrayed the woman who gave me everything. I sat in my car and cried like a child. Where are you, Mom? Please forgive me. But the city didn't answer. At the shelter, my mother woke up before dawn. She washed her face, adjusted her worn shawl, and sat in the corner to pray. She didn't pray for food. She didn't pray for a home. She prayed for me. But protect my son. God, even if he forgets me, don't forget him. Those words never left her lips. Morning came. People left for work. Children went to school. My mother stepped outside again alone. She didn't know I was searching. She didn't know regret had finally broken me. She only knew that her son's house was no longer her home. 3 days, 3 nights, that's how long my mother had been walking. Sitting, waiting, surviving on charity and silence. Her legs ached. Her back burned. Her chest felt tight every time she took a breath. Still, she didn't stop. Because stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant remembering me. One afternoon, as she stood outside a small bakery, the world around her suddenly began to spin. The ground felt soft beneath her feet. Her vision blurred. She tried to hold onto the wall. She couldn't. Her body gave up. She collapsed. Someone called for help. Voices echoed around her. Hands lifted her from the cold pavement. A middle-aged man wrapped his jacket around her shoulders. An ambulance came. The sirens screamed through the streets. Inside, my mother whispered weakly, "Please, don't worry, my son." Even in pain, she worried about me. The hospital room smelled of medicine and loneliness. A nurse asked, "Do you have any family we can call?" My mother shook her head slowly. "No," she said. That one word held a lifetime of sacrifice. They admitted her as an unnamed patient. No visitors, no phone calls, just machines beeping and silent prayers in the dark. I hadn't slept properly in days. My search had become desperate. I printed her photo. I spoke to strangers. I visited shelters. At one small church shelter, an old woman looked at the picture carefully. "She was here," she said softly. "Very kind, very quiet. She left 2 days ago." My heart stopped. "Which direction?" I asked, my voice shaking. She pointed down the road. Hope returned, mixed with terror. When I returned home late that night, Laura was waiting. "You're obsessed," she snapped. She chose to leave. I looked at her for the first time. "She didn't choose," I said. "I pushed her." Laura laughed bitterly. "Don't act like a hero now." Something inside me broke. "She's my mother," I whispered, and I failed her. At the hospital, a young nurse sat beside my mother. "You shouldn't be alone," she said kindly. "Can you tell me your son's name?" My mother hesitated, then she whispered, "Daniel." That name was written on her file for the first time. That same evening, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. "Almost. This is City General Hospital," a voice said. "We have an elderly woman here. She collapsed. She mentioned your name." My hands began to shake. "What's her name?" I asked, already knowing Evelyn. The world went silent. I didn't tell Laura where I was going. I grabbed my keys and ran. Red lights, traffic, endless seconds. All I could think was, "Please be alive." A nurse stopped me. "Are you Daniel?" I nodded, unable to speak. "She's stable now," she said, "but she's very weak." Stable. That one word kept me alive as I followed her to the room. My hands were shaking when I touched the door handle. I was afraid. Afraid of what I would see. Afraid of what I might never get the chance to say. She looked smaller, weaker. The woman who once carried me in her arms now lay on a narrow hospital bed, wires attached to her fragile body. Her face was pale, her lips dry. For a moment, I couldn't move. Then I fell to my knees. "I'm sorry, Mom," I cried. "I'm so sorry." Her eyes slowly opened. She looked at me, confused at first, then soft. "Daniel," she whispered. I took her hand, holding it like it might disappear. "Yes, Mom, I'm here. I'm here." Tears slid down her cheeks. "You shouldn't have come," she said weakly. "You have a life." That broke me. "I let you leave," I said. "I heard everything, and I said nothing." She squeezed my hand with what little strength she had. "I know," she whispered, "but I didn't want to make things harder for you." Even now, she protected me. Outside the room, the doctor spoke quietly. "She's severely exhausted, malnourished. Her heart is weak." My heart dropped. "She needs care, and she needs it soon." I nodded, tears blurring my vision. I knew what he meant. She needed a home. I went home that night. Laura was sitting on the couch. "You found her?" she asked coldly. "Yes," I said, "and she's not coming back to the shelter." Laura stood up. "So what does that mean?" I looked at her calmly. "It means, if she can't live here, neither can I." Silence filled the room. For the first time, she had nothing to say. Back at the hospital, my mother looked worried. "You fought because of me," didn't you?" she asked. I shook my head. "No, Mom. I fought because I remembered who raised me." She cried silently. "I never wanted to come between you," she said. "You never did," I replied. "I did." The nurse smiled. "She's improving," she said, "but recovery will take time." I stayed by her side that night for the first time in years. My mother slept peacefully, but deep inside I felt something heavy, a fear I couldn't name yet, because sometimes finding someone doesn't mean you won't lose them again. She opened her eyes gently and looked at me. "Daniel," she whispered, double quotes. "Yes, Mom." I leaned closer. She smiled faintly. "There's something I never told you." My chest tightened. "When your father died," she said slowly, "the doctors told me I was sick. My heart was weak even back then." I froze. "They said I might not live long," she continued, "but I didn't want you to grow up alone." Tears streamed down my face. "So I ignored my illness," she said softly. "I chose you. Every day you knew." I cried. "And still you worked, suffered, alone." She touched my cheek with trembling fingers. "A mother doesn't count her pain," she said. "She counts her child's future." I held her hand tightly. "And when you sent me away," she whispered, "I realized my body couldn't fight anymore." Her words crushed me. I had broken the heart that never stopped loving me. "I'm here now," I said desperately. "I'll take care of you. We'll leave everything, just you and me." She smiled, the kind of smile that knows the truth. "My journey is almost over," she said, "but yours must be better." Her breathing slowed. The machines began to beep differently. "Mom," I panicked, "please, don't go." She looked at me one last time. "Never let anyone make you forget where you come from," she whispered, "and never let a mother cry at your door." Her hand loosened in mine, and just like that, she was gone. I screamed, not loudly, but from a place so deep. It felt like my soul was tearing apart. "I'm sorry," I kept repeating. I'm sorry, but apologies have no meaning when the person who deserves them is gone." I left my house. I left my marriage. I left the life that made me forget my mother. I moved into a small place, near the church shelter where she once stayed. I volunteered there every weekend. I helped old women who reminded me of her. Sometimes I sit alone and imagine her voice. Sometimes I dream she forgives me. Today her photo hangs on my wall. Under it, I've written these words: "She left crying from my house, and I've been searching for her love ever since." If your mother is alive, don't wait. Don't stay silent. Don't choose comfort over conscience, because once a mother walks away with tears in her eyes, you may find her again, or you may only find regret.